Namaskaram. Bhushans Academy of Performing Arts and Visual Presentation welcomes you all for today's Vishwa Nruthya Bhushana happening on our Facebook page Vishwa Nruthya Bhushana. As you're all aware, today we are streaming the 87th, yes, you heard it right, 87th episode featuring the acclaimed Acharya from California, Sri.Badari Divya Bhushan. ಸ್ನೇಹಿತರೆ ಭೂಷನ್ಸ್ ಪ್ರದರ್ಶಕ ಕಲೆಗಳು ಮತ್ತು ದೃಶ್ಯ ಪ್ರಸ್ತುತಿ ಕೇಂದ್ರ ನಿಮ್ಮನ್ನ ಈ ದಿನದ ವಿಶ್ವ ನೃತ್ಯ ಗಾನ ಭೂಷಣ ಅನ್ನುವಂತಹ ಈ ಕಾರ್ಯಕ್ರಮಕ್ಕೆ ಸ್ವಾಗತಿಸುತ್ತೇವೆ. ನಿಮಗೆ ತಿಳಿದಿರುವ ಹಾಗೆ ಎಂದಿನಂತೆ ಸತತವಾಗಿ ಆಗಸ್ಟ್ 10ನೇ ತಾರೀಕಿಂದ ನಮ್ಮೊಂದಿಗೆ ಹಲವಾರು ದಿಗ್ಗಜರು ಬಂದು ತಮ್ಮ ಮನದಾಳದ ಮಾತುಗಳನ್ನ ಹಂಚ್ಕೋತಾ ಇದ್ದಾರೆ. ಇವತ್ತು ಅಮೆರಿಕದ ಮೂಲವಾಸಿಯಾದಂತಹ ಕ್ಯಾಲಿಫೋರ್ನಿಯಾದ ಶ್ರೀಮತಿ ವಿಶಾಲ್ ರಮಣಿ ಅವರು ನಮ್ಮೊಂದಿಗೆ ಇರ್ತಾರೆ. ಅವರನ್ನ ಈ ಕಾರ್ಯಕ್ರಮಕ್ಕೆ ಬರಮಾಡಿಕೊಳ್ಳುವುದಕ್ಕೆ ಮುಂಚೆ ಅವರ ಬಗ್ಗೆ ಕೆಲವು ಸಾಲುಗಳನ್ನ ನಾವು ಓದೋಣ. Sri.Krupa Dance Company is the oldest Indian classical dance school in San Francisco Bay Area and was founded by the world-renowned Bharatnatyam teacher, dancer and choreographer Srimati Vishal Ramani. The journey started in 1977 from a simple need to satisfy the thirst for tradition amongst Indian immigrants. Today, it's a thriving center for excellence of Bharatnatyam, for learning Bharatnatyam, where the dance is taught within strict confines of a style set by the Tanjavur tradition. The school has produced many of this region's finest practitioners and exponents of this ancient art form under Guru Vishal's leadership. Sri Krupa has broken barriers on many fronts with many firsts. One such pioneering step, now a very popular tradition amongst every school in North America, was the casting of a live ensemble of famous musicians to accompany an Arangetram performance. With her passion and commitment towards nurturing and sustaining every level of this revered good dance form, Guru Vishal has carved a path of continuity for all SKDC, that is Sri Krupa Dance Company Arangetram graduates, and conducts post-Arangetram classes regularly every week. Sri Krupa is also the first school in the Bay Area to present full ballet with live music to critical acclaim. Continuing this legacy, Guru Vishal, the artistic visionary and brilliant, with her brilliant choreography, ancient and contemporary themes, and current word problems are handled with equal ease, much to the wonderment of her audiences. Sri Krupa's students have performed and received accolades world over, including receiving many awards and acclaim at the very base of this dance form at the annual Chennai Sabhas cultural events that happen in India, and of course international dance competitions in Barcelona, San Francisco, Ethnic Dance Festival, Cleveland's Tyagaraja Aradhana Festival, and full-length performances in US, Canada, Australia, and India. Through the years, SKDC has been very active in the local community by raising funds of awareness for many causes through the power of dedicated dance performances. With all this and much more, let's welcome today's amazing acclaimed Guru, Acharya Srimati Vishal Ramani ji. Namaskaram, ma'am.
Namaskaram, and you've spoken so much. Just absolutely thank you for this. Shri Gurubhyo Namaha to all the gurus, to all my viewers. Namaskaram.
As the norm goes, the first question I would ask, or I want our viewers are very keen to know, is how did the young Vishal start learning dance, or when was Vishal enthralled or fascinated towards this divine field?
I think it's from my cradle days. I would say my sister was already dancing when I was born. So I must have just imbibed this, but I owe it to the Tanjavur traditional masters from Tiruvadamardur, from Tanjavur Jilla. They had established a school, Sri Rajarajeshwari Bharatnatyam Kala Mandir, in 1945 in Mumbai, under the tutelage of the great Guru Sri Kuppaya Pillai, who comes from the tradition of Punjab Kese Nattuvanar. And under him, Guru Govind Raj Pillai and Mahalingam Pillai and Guru Srimati Karunambal. And now, of course, Sri Kalyan Sundaram Pillai, who's in touch with me, and we converse. It's a real privilege. I just had the blessings, I guess, and I had good parentage, and I had a wonderful journey right from the beginning. So anything else that I can say about it?
Yes, I am keen on knowing now, was it by your choice or was it the parents' option that you should be learning dance? or you were fascinated
At
and they
the
just.
age of 3 and 4, it is not your choice because you don't know anything about the world. It is definitely the parents' choice. As I said, my older sister, Srimati Lalita Narayanmurthy, was already a dancer at that time, learning dance, of course. She was young and she was learning because my grandmother said my grandchildren, my granddaughter should learn dance. And that's what I believe. And my mother, she's a wonderful, musician from within her. She used to play the violin, she used to sing. Of course, it was all kind of quelled in a joint family system. But she wanted her children to learn. And so my sister was learning, and then automatically, I think I slid into it. It's more like, you watch someone, you watch your sister, you watch your mother, you have an environment of Carnatic music at home, then automatically the feet start tapping to the rhythm, and the melody makes you float on the waves, and it just was a natural thing for me. I'm so happy.
How was the process of learning those days when you learned probably about 60 years ago, I believe? How was the process of learning? How was the Guru Parampara system, or how was the tutoring done?
I remember it as a just simplicity. The main thing that was inculcated in those days was learning in a very strict and guidance of a teacher. A framework was, laid out. It is basically just Adavu system. There was no theory. There was no lofty, tutelage of anything other than just laying out the basics. The teachers strived. They used the Tattakari and they taught us just the basic things very, very well. The clarity was there. The repetition was there, like mantra. And beyond that, when they taught us, it was always a simple margam laid out, a Tishrajati, Tishanadayalaripu, a Jatiswaram from the Tanjavur quartet, and then a Shabdam and a Varnam. Shabdam, of course, is the Yasho Gita, first time you are learning Abhinaya. And then the Varnam. And Varnam format, everything was automatically imbibed by us because we used to learn it and then not question anything in detail, but learn it as the teachers taught us. There was no experimentation, there's no innovation, there is a very strict guidelines to learn it. And sometimes the adavas used to happen in large halls with a lot of students coming in from all over Mumbai. And we used to just do the adavas, there's nothing else. And the learning process was also very slow. There was no hurry. It was an unhurried pace. But to me, all this is just a little vague memory because I was just a young child. I had my Arangetram at the age of 7, but I had it along with my sister. But I remember every detail of all the paraphernalia of Angashuddhi. All these things were taught to us in classroom. The Laya Shuddhi was very automatic because we would learn Carnatic music. And then there was also this, when you talk about Aharyam, you go to great lengths these days to dress yourself up. In those days, it was very simple. Fresh flowers in your hair. Small, I had very short hair at that time. And I remember my teacher tying my hair and making a braid with it and then putting the fresh flowers on that for my Arangetram. We went for a photo shoot, I remember, and we stood on these huge circular, platforms, and my sister and I, and we took some photographs. They were just black and white photos. So I'm coming from a very ancient time. So I have to say, I have to recall all these and say, times have changed now. Today, everyone is like going into boundless ways of energy and experimentation into dance. Wonderful. It's a wonderful thing because with time we have to change, but we have to keep it within the strict confines of Bharatnatyam as it is laid out in both the Abhinay Darpana of Sri Nandikeshwara as well as Natya Shastra.
So, of course, even today, with the price shooting up and the kind of emergencies you dance every day, so probably people are referring to plastic and paper and whatnot, what all kinds of flowers are emerging. Of course, abroad, though, I don't know, some of them still have to be happy now. Of course, every house grows mogra and jasmine, so probably they can string it and they can wear it, but not every time this used to happen. How did the dance after your Arangetram graduate? Like you took it up seriously? Did you pursue like after Arangetram? Some kids of today abroad, it's a different scene. I'll talk about this later. But how did you pursue after your Arangetram? How was the journey in dance?
It was kind of difficult. My learning was choppy after that because my parents, my father went from Mumbai to Tata Nagar or Jamshedpur in Jharkhand, and he was working for Telco, and he was in a very executive capacity. My father, Srinivas, was one of those persons that really encouraged us, never really restrained us. I remember him encouraging me, taking me whenever it was a vacation time. I would fly or go by train to Mumbai and stay there and learn. We had a small apartment in Mumbai, stay there, and we're very close to Shraddhanand Road where my school was. And I remember learning further. Every holiday I'd go enter and learn one more item or two more items and three more items and come back. So that kind of learning, but my heart was just pining to be in that classroom. The sound of the tattakari, in the sound, as I remember Sri Govind Rajapillai singing, the way he would sit, the way he would hold his Natuvangam Talam, and the way he would recite the mnemonics, just the chorkattu, it was just like absolutely a craze in me. And I dreamed of dance, and I built that guru inside me. And that is something that I believe in. The guru is an external force, yes, and the one that gives you all the inspirations. But the true guru resides within you. If you can invoke that guru and you can really feel it, at every moment, someone has been guiding me. Even as I choreograph dances, I feel the presence of some other force that guides me because of my true bhakti or devotion to my gurus. And that's what I owe it to.
How different that once you were learning and you were missing the class, of course the reminiscence itself is like so rich because that sound of tatikali or the master's voice or the mridangam or people dancing, sometimes selangai, all these things bring in the memory. Now finally you studied and probably you got married. How early did you get married?
I got married, very early, just like many other girls. As you approach 20, you're like pushed into a marriage, and you're
Was it a
coming
love
from
marriage? Was it a love marriage or an arranged marriage?
no way. It was arranged marriage.
Okay.
We
So did
wouldn't
you know
dare
and
dare
did
to
you
love.
did you shift immediately to US or was it like you stationed in
No,
India and then moved?
my husband and I, we came to England. We came
Okay.
to
UK.
Sussex,
Okay.
Sussex in the UK. And over there, I danced at the University of Sussex. There was an IDS building, international building, where we used to meet a few of us Indians, and I would dance regularly for Diwali and other functions. We would meet. Also in London, I danced, and I just wherever I could explore, I would see who is willing to give a platform and dance. Because it's kind of difficult because I didn't have the ability to run around easily because England is a very unpredictable weather, and we were students. We were not like affluent enough to go move around all over the place. We were kind of bound over there, and so it was limited. But even within the limited capacity, I would go to unlimited you know measures to do whatever I could to connect, to talk, to speak to people, to meet people. I'm always a people oriented person. I love people and I love to talk to them. That's something that is predominant in me, and I love to learn other cultures. And so I even experimented some other dances in the university. It was really a fun time, those 3 years. I felt really elated that I had kept it alive. There was one thing that my father-in-law said to me, that you go there and hoist the flag, when he saw me dance in Bhopal. My father-in-law was in Bhopal at the time that I got married, and he said, "Oh, this is beautiful. Just go and hoist."
Now the opportunities were like, when you were, was it any time did you feel miserable that you were not connected with dance and you had to wait for an opportunity because you were not teaching then, and a different country, the UK of today to UK of probably 40, 50 years ago is very different. How did that, yeah, how difficult was it for you to accept the fact that that what was your life, what was your regular routine every day in India was like reduced to something which you could indulge only off and on? How did you cope up with the time?
Um, Dance to me was not just um, teaching at that time, it was performing. And obviously, every girl dreams that she'll be a performer. And I had always dreamt that I would perform, and all the neon lights, all the platforms, all the possibilities were always in my dreams. I was always in my dreams and in my tears. But I would definitely give myself a chance and always be an optimist, saying that I'm going to walk this path with a rugged determination. But it seemed like naturally, after you get married and then you have you working or doing whatever, and then you have children, and then we migrated to the US because US government, NASA, Ames, invited my husband for a postdoctoral fellowship. So we came here to Mountain View. We came straight from London to California. And when we came to Mountain View in California, this country was like a barren desert. I mean, I would sometimes I remember just walking into maybe a pharmacy or a supermarket and finding a couple of Indian, one Indian couple or one couple of Indian people walking around, and I, very enthusiastically, bubbling with excitement, I'd say, "Oh, hello," and or "Namaste," something like that, and they'd say hi, and then just walk away. So it almost felt like I wasn't seeing my India anywhere. India was not there. India was slipping out of my hand. And I felt kind of like trapped in a miserable situation where I couldn't do anything. And babies were there. My little daughter was there. And I would talk to her and I'll sing to her. And my first daughter was a joy to me because I would sing every song possible and she'll sing along with me. I'll recite the Suprabhadam and she'll say Om Kausalya Suprajara. She would say it as a little girl. And I just felt that I had to build my India within me and around me. The toughest situation. And I see girls coming here now and settling into schools, music, dance. They put their children. It's so easy for them. Never came easy for me. Never was an easy thing. And as difficult as it got, the more determined I became, that I'm not going to let go of this. So the opportunity came in the year 1975 when I danced at the Stanford University Diwali, one of the Diwali associations. Few Indians had come. And it was the first time that one of the ladies came rushing to me and said, "My granddaughter is just born. Her name is Radha. I want her to learn this dance form from you. Can you teach this?" And I said, I myself have a little baby. And so I definitely, I do plan to teach when I settle down. And this is wonderful. The first time I felt so elated I, that someone had come and asked me, with the same thirst that I had within me. So that kind of quenched my thirst. And I felt like, yes, maybe teaching dance, and especially having a little girl with me, my baby, I wanted to start the dance school. I started learning when I was hardly knew anything, 4 years, and it's nothing that you kind of recall things in a very vague way, but wasn't like, oh, I know I had learned a lot and nothing like that. So this girl, I have to teach her. I have to make sure that I teach many children. Um, and one quality I had is that I never differentiated between my children and other children. I said, children are children, and their minds are like sponges, and I should do this. And so that decision came when that lady came and asked me. So
Now that learning, the process was there, then you started teaching. I'm sure you would have been thrilled the day she asked you to teach, because till then you were cooped up with all the emotions, and as you said, even to talk to people, to acknowledge a hello was so difficult, and they were so cold, and you would just dance and sing to your daughter. I can understand, in comparison to today's girls' lives, it would have been miserable for you, because one, no, you are coming from a conservative family background where you're not let to explore few roads or probably few areas, to going into a new country, to talking to new people, building establishing an academy. How easy was that, or how difficult was it to establish your name, the Sri Krupa Dance Company, and as a guru? And in the process, I would want to know if your husband let you to dance, or were there any conditions saying that you shouldn't dance, or you should only teach, or dance is just a pastime. I don't want my wife dancing. Were there any kind of restrictions laid out to you?
well, that's a very lofty question. It kind of pokes into a lot of sore spots. Every girl goes through this when she's married. She has children, and then there are times when you are required at home more than going outside and serving the outside community. As you can imagine, it wasn't easy. My battle was long. It was very hard. If I have to say that, oh, it's a blame game, I don't want to do that. I wanted to be accountable for my actions. And one basic difference, that brings this clash is, if both persons are not artistically inclined, it becomes harder. It is in an arranged marriage, you don't have a choice. And so you have it wasn't like he was an unkind person or not generous. Generous person, a wonderful person, but within his scientific area, that was fine. But beyond that, not a people-oriented person. So that puts a big, huge difference there. So one, I long to meet people. I long to talk to people, invite them, go meet them, to talk to them, go on chats and all this. And whereas he was exactly the opposite. not at all people oriented. So it becomes harder. Whether your battle, life is a battle, and we are all, Arjuna is standing here, and Krishna is always guiding us. One thing that was a dominating thing about me was my spirit and my optimism in life. And I never felt down until, a tragedy hit me in the later year of 1976, 77, 78, that time frame I had a tragedy after I started my school, 78, when I lost my baby. And it was a very freak accident. And it just brought me closer to God than ever. I became very spiritually inclined. I almost had conversations with God every day. I used to just sit in my own space and talk to Him. And I felt I was getting the answers to everything. Why? What did I do? What happened to me? Where am I going? And it all happened in during the time of dance. So that really made me go question Nataraja. Have I not been so devoted to you, so loyal to you right from the beginning? What did you do? Is it you who did it, or is it my fate? What happened to me? So one almost like couple of months went by, and then I suddenly gripped it, and I was expecting again. And I almost felt like the same child had come back to me again. I was very determined. I went to Tirupati. I even faced Lord Balaji. In his eyes, I looked at him straight in his eyes during the Suprabhata Dachna. And I asked why, what happened. And I almost felt like I got the answer. So once I knew this answer in me, within me, that determination came back again. And I started living life with more zest for the sake of my children. And I came back to the US, and when I started the school, it was only in a community center. But I started the school with determination, and I would say at the time when the children were small, my husband would, walk along with me and be okay. But this was always, some kind of an irksome thing where, why this, why people, why go out, let's go hiking, let's go mountain climbing, let's go play tennis, let's go, walk the woods or something like that. I'm not that much. I walk, I do all kinds of things, but I'm not an outdoor person. I'm not that way. I play sports, but I'm not always into that. It's always for me, I have to have my room and I have to dance, or I have to sing, or I have to listen to music or read books or something like that. So I really, and or meet people and talk. So I was a kind of a different person. So you can imagine, must have been difficult for me at that time. But I'm talking as if it's someone else. Today I feel like I've grown, and I feel that my life is my making, and always it has to be. And I must always, hold my path straight, live with simplicity and spirituality within me. I must connect with people who really matter to me and always keep in touch with them. And I must meet more people and never ever be insincere, not compassionate, or not grateful to those that went by or those who are with me.
I can actually feel how difficult it would have been for you those days, losing a child and struggling to become somebody that you're not. I very well relate to what you say, because at a point where each individual is different, and people mostly dancers are all extroverts. I would say most dancers, very few I would say ambiverts or introverts, but then most dancers are extroverts, and it's like because of we dance for people, whereas for joy, to God, so many things are connected. And when that itself becomes like You shouldn't, or it's forbidden. It becomes so claustrophobic and so suffocating for oneself too. Even morally it pulls you down, and your confidence in other things could not necessarily dance. Even in your day-to-day life, the show is all about that, where we talk about these kind of conflicts that you would have faced, or these kind of difficulties that you would have faced, and emerged as a winner, because it is you are such a big inspiration for so many girls who look up to you today. Could be your students, could be your friends, could be your friends kids, or could be your fans around the world, where they would not know, or they would know. Some of them would have known your past, but some do not know. They don't know only the dancing Vishal Ramani auntie. But this truth will be an eye opener for so many, and say, yes, had it been this, had it been, that is what I say, when Ahalya was conferred with the conferred and when she was cursed with the shapam, had she got up and said, you also sit with me for whatever so many yugas till Rama comes and over, because she was a Sati Shiromani. She would, if she had told the husband, like, why don't you also sit next to me and be my partner? I've already taken oath as Nati Charami, Nati Charami, Nati Charami, and I've been Kare Sudasi, Sharani, all that I've accepted you as my husband to be with you. Why don't you also sit next to me in the Solurunda? Probably the perspective, the way a man would look at women would have changed today and time, that is how it is. Now, post that, what was that, if that energy that you used to get to combat all this stress and start dancing, and then again start the class? How did you and how did you source that energy, or what made you that positivity that you got? How difficult or you got out of that? What was the thing that supported you those days?
I wouldn't say it was, just me that was determined to do this, but I also had a very big challenge when, if anybody defies and says to me, I dare you to do this, that you will be nobody, you will be in shreds. If someone says that to me, I'll show them that I cannot be that, because I'm very determined. One thing that I have is my father's spirit. I will never be cowed down. I'll never be pushed down. At the same time, I will never push anyone. I'll be me because I'm an individual. I have the power to be me. And to be me, I have to believe in me. Me, I'm not myself. I am God's tool, God's instrument. And as an instrument of God, I will help others in every possible way. Anything that I can do, whether it is monetary or it is, just giving them physical help, I will do. If it is a child that is suffering, I cry. I cry with the world. I cannot be me, just it's all not about me. Life is not about me. Life is about everyone else that's around me. Their emotions, their feelings, and their hurts, their joys, everything should be mine, because that is how I am built. So that was one thing that I had always, and I never felt that I had to be always the success. It has to be my children that are the success. My students should be successful. Everyone who is around me. If anyone came to my door for anything, I would give. And so there's no doubt at all in my mind that the power came from within me, but the power was also from without, outside of me. Some people, very few people, recognized me as an artist, as a human being. And a couple of people that influenced me in those days, there was a Srimati Malti Prasad. I can never be who I am today without her. She's the one who said, Vishal, this tragedy happened in the name of dance, but you are born for much more than this. Get up and run. She was a great scholar, a mathematician, a teacher, a wonderful person, a wonderful human being. She was the wife of Dr. Rajendra Prasad. Dr. Rajendra Prasad and Malti were responsible for picking me up because I was so much younger and suffering, and they just held me in their hands. And then Srimati Madhuri and Dr. Tatachari. I'll never forget them in my life. They are etched in stone inside me and their names, and they have really guided me. They have really felt very close to me. They were close to me at my home, and many things that they taught me. We did the Shubhagaman dance ballet, the first one, along with Dr. Tatachari and Madhuri playing the veena. Beautiful people, and I cannot forget them. The singers in those days were very few. There's Srimati Jayashree Varadarajan, who sang for me, Kala Iyer, who sang for me. I would go hunt around and see who can sing and who can do this and how can I do a live arangetram. So I did a live music arangetram first time in the 80 time frame, and I felt so happy about it because I had taught the girl Nritya, Natya, and brought her to a really good start, and she did the Todi Varnam, Danike at the time, and I just loved the way she danced, and I was so happy about it that I could do an arangetram. That was probably the very first arangetram with live music, and we worked very hard. There was an American guy named Rusty Gillett who played the mridangam. Now, of course, I have the influence of Sri Ashok Subramaniam. He is a fantastic musician. He's a poet beyond words. His imagination is just unbelievable. I'm so fortunate that I have these people in my life that have influenced, encouraged, brought me, and even in the establishment of my school, my non-profit organization, even the 15 years of television that I did in this country called the Echoes of India. I was challenged by an American who said, "Who wants to go to India? It's a black hole." And I said, "You speak of India as a black hole, I'll show you." And so I started an English, in the English language, Echoes of India. There's every part of India, everything about India, every beauty, every trade, every art form, anything that I could pick up from India, from dance to music to foods to costumes to colors to everything. I started 15 years. I did interviews of entrepreneurs, people visiting from India, artists, great artists like T.N. Seshagopalan, Santana Gopalan, all these people I just brought to my TV. So Shashank, flute player, all these people came to my program. Even Dr. Kiran Bedi was with me, and she said, "Vishal, you're a beacon." And I still, she wrote in my book, a book and gave it to me and said, "You are a beacon yourself." And then Alamel Valli, all these people that came to me, and then Sri Kelucharan Mahapatra, I could never forget him. He said, "Vishal, you are a guru yourself." And I said, "Oh my God," I felt so humble. Srimati late Sanjukta Panigrahi, who stayed with me and who danced with me. So fortunate to have known people, that from the artistic world and every world. And not that I had to rebel some to keep them in my home, because to bring them to my home, I have the heart, I have everything, but I was restricted by the family and the others. But I still went ahead and rebelled and brought them to my home, because that's the only way I could feel connected.
I can relate and understand how difficult it would have been, the turmoil. You can fight with outsiders, but to fight with insiders is the biggest challenge, you know. And you were talking about this program that went on for 15 years. Oh, amazing. And at the same time, I should be thankful to Madhuri auntie, my very sweet Madhuri Tatachar, who has connected both of us. Probably we know each other 15 years. I
Only
think so, yes.
because of her.
Yes, yes, yes. She introduced me to, and the first day I met you, she said, "This is Vishal." She is an dancer. I said, "Okay." I was like, because then after I started talking to you, like, okay, good. I'm actually talking to a dancer, not like somebody who just dances at home. Not just somebody who just இப்போ பாட்டு பாடுறவா எல்லாரும் பாடுறான்னு சொல்றேன் இல்லையா, like how it will be. Then I understood, yes, that is so nice about Madhuri auntie, and she has been such a wonderful, encouraging person to me. She is always mails me, calls me. I make it a point to meet her off and on, and she comes over whenever she's passing by, and we meet. And she tells me whenever there is a review about my performance, she reads it and calls me and says, "I'm so happy for you. Hindu la eludirka, romma nalla eludirka, and star la vandirukku." She has this connect, and I always anything I produce new, she has to see and she will see, and she'll be like, either this is nice and I feel this could have been worked, and the Mariella, it is, I've always cherished such beautiful moments with her. And even today I've mailed her because I could not connect her. So I mailed her to watch this show. So probably she'll definitely watch it over the course of time, probably night or tomorrow morning. Yes. So that is our wonderful Madhuri Tatachar. And of course, it is not just me. I'm sure the entire people in Mysore who will not know who is she, because she has done so much to artists and artisans, and done a lot. And she's still the same gracious self to smile, and so many things, I can go on and on and on.
Oh, very
Yeah.
beautiful person.
Yeah, and recently when her granddaughter's birthday was celebrated, and I was out of station, I was in Delhi, I believe, probably. So she called me. I said, "Well, you should come." I said, "Auntie, I'm not there. Send somebody. You send Anjana. You send your son." I said, "Okay, if they come, I'll make sure that they come." And that's what happened, that I could connect, and they could visit. So I understand all these small things that, and she's very particular about things, about time. So whenever we have time, we in India especially, if it is 5, people take it easy to start by 5:30, 5:45. But then if it is 5 for her, I imbibe that quality with her. Like when she's there, I should start. So 5 and 4:55, she'll be there. I picked up that quality, and I also do that. If somebody asks me to be at 6, I'll be there 5 minutes before.
Yeah.
So this is how these things will actually make a mark about a person. Now you started the thing. You had such amazing artists like Sanjukta Panigrahi coming over, and so many Shashank, so many artists coming over. Then after doing the Arangetrams and everything, did you ever focus on having group productions to be featured in the festival that you organized? Your own group productions?
We have a lot of group productions. One of the things that we have done is, I've produced a lot of group dances like ballets, and can't call them ballets, but dance dramas.
Dhananjay Mama Nalla Vaira. If I say ballet, no, he'll say no. Not Nritya Natakaman Sollan Solra. Mama, I hope you're watching this.
Yes.
I absolutely say.
Yeah,
So which was your first Nritya Natakam that you composed, choreographed, and what was it? What was the concept about?
You know what? The very first one I did was very, very funny. You'll be laughing over there. I wrote, I love writing. So I imagined a sculptor and sculptor sculpting and the sculpture coming alive and all these kinds of things. So I wrote Sculptor's Dream. I wrote a little tiny little one, which I didn't have, any artist to dance with me. So I had just started the school in the year 1977 in Sunnyvale Community Center. And I had a Greek and Balkan dancer. His name is David Adams. And then I had a couple of other people, one Chinese lady, Kim Kwok or somebody, And then there was many other children that were learning, very, very little children. And so with all of them posing as statues and all kinds of things, I danced this dance drama. And I had a lady by the name Sujata Banerjee who spoke the poems I had written or the script I had written. It was a beautiful one done at the Sunnyvale Community Center with shadow play. That was done in the year 1977. I still remember very clearly how we did it, and the audience was packed at that time. And this is all like we're having no music, but taking music from various LP records. I would even go to the extent of taking violin by Yehudi Menuhin and Ravi Shankar's sitar, and do anything, experimentation with music, and I would work on that. That was my first attempt. And the second one I did it for Chinmaya Mission, and also because my own daughter was very little and I wanted her to dance. So I gave her the part of Bharata, and I did Shakuntalam. And Shakuntalam, I did it with David Adam playing Kanva Maharishi. He was both Vishwamitra and Kanva Maharishi. And his wife, I taught her the role of Menaka. She's very pretty. She's a belly dancer. I taught her the role of Menaka, and I really strived. And I played the older Shakuntala, and I had a little girl named Suhag Shah who played the little Shakuntala. And a few weeks, I still remember a few weeks ago, or a few months ago, I was in a supermarket, and this young lady comes to me. She probably is in her 30s now, or 40s now, right? So she comes and taps me on the shoulder, and she says, "Do you remember me?" I said, "No. Who are you?" And she said, "I'm Suhaksha. I'm your little Shakuntala." So it's very funny how times change, right? So 77 to now, so many years have passed, and I have influenced a lot of people here. So that my own attempts, right? And after that, when I met
I can understand the Menaka doing belly natyam. Hopefully, she didn't do belly natyam, belly dance. So, but I can understand how difficult it would have been for you.
so beautiful.
I know. She was a belly dancer, but I am on a lighter note. I'm saying this. Imagine the Kati Prayogam is so restricted in Bharatnatyam, and the only thing it would move for her is the Kati. And for you to control her Kati and teach her something like that would have been very difficult for you.
What can you do when you don't have anyone around you, right? So you have to train them. So I just determined to train people that
I can relate to an instance where I was when I was with my Guruji. We were doing Shakuntala, and I was only male then, so I had to do all the three characters: Kanva, Durvasa, and Dushyanta. So the Kanva comes, and Kanva has got a black beard, and Durvasa had a white beard. Vishwamitra had a white beard. Vishwamitra had a white beard. So in one scene, this is Durvasa after the Shapa, when the Shapam is cast. The spell is cast, she's cursed. So I come as Durvasa, and I curse Shakuntala that whoever she's thinking, let him forget and all the stuff. I go back, and I had to change my entire dadi and that mustache and all from black to white. So it was so fast that I had to exit there and enter here like that. So at one juncture, it was like white dadi and white wig, black mush. And I'm all serious. I'm asking Shakuntala, she's crying, sobbing, who was my guru. She's sobbing, and she looked at me like that, and she couldn't control her laughter. I'm like, why is she so, and everybody around me is looking at it, hinting at me, and like, almost like I could make out that something is funny. So I'm trying to see what is funny in me. Is my outfit dropping somewhere? Why everybody is laughing? I could see them all giggling. The Sakis around. I'm like, I could hear the sound. And I somehow, and in the confusion, I've said this also. I've said this before in the stream in some other way, but this in the confusion, the Shakuntala is about to go to her husband's house, and she's bidding by and all that stuff. And I hug her. And to my horror, her neti chutti got stuck in my daddy. And she is asking me to leave her, and I don't want to leave because my white daddy will go and land on her forehead in a bad way. That is one. Second, I will lose my daddy, that beard which will go, and it will land on the wrong place of Shakuntala's neti. So I didn't know how to do. I was hugging her, I was not leaving her, and she was like bido, 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 and solitaire. So this went on, and finally I pulled her, and the daddy became little loose, but I managed to do. Then I come backstage and I look at my face, I burst out laughing with a black and a white beard and a white wig. It was a scene. So when you said this Shakuntala and Dushyanta, I remember this, and though I've shared this before in the stream with some other artists, so this was another scene to understand. Namaste, Guru Prasad Ore. He's an amazing singer, a world-renowned singer from Mysore, Guru Prasad Guruji. Thank you for joining. And this is Vishal Ramani ji. I hope you. And yes, he also knows Madhuri Tatachar very well.
Oh, I see. Okay.
So this went on, and this scene, of course, I related. Mr. Guru Prasad was the singer for this show that I was talking to you about. He was also in the side wing looking at me and laughing. So I could understand how hilarious the entire atmosphere would have been. So now, after this production of your belly dancing, Menaka, what was your next production?
Of course, then after that, it was all with Dr. Vaiti Tatachari and Madhuri Tatachari. They came and we did a grand program for Swami Sachidananda's, the Lotus Temple in Virginia. A lot of money was collected, huge crowds came. It was called Shubhagaman. Shubhagaman is the Kuchela Upakhyanam, that, Kuchela and Krishna story. That was done beautifully. I think one of the most memorable productions, because we did it at the San Mateo Little Theatre, and Madhuri will always remember that. And after that, we did one more production of the post Raghuvamsha period, where Lava Kusha story, and that was Navadhyuti, where rebuilding of Ayodhya after Rama's passing away. So that was a beautiful production. So those things they're all like etched in my memory. Then we did a lot of Gandhi Week celebrations. At that time, one of the senators, Dianne Feinstein, came for our show from here. And, life is so full of, variety. I met a lot of people in San Francisco. I used to go to the Concord Shiva Murugan temple. At that time, it was the Swami who was there, whose temple is in Hawaii now. He used to call me my dancer, and he will say, "Are you coming for Mahashivaratri?" So every Shivaratri in San Francisco at their temple, I would dance. That was a great honor for me, because every Shivaratri, it was like, my dancer, are you coming here? He will ask me, Swamiji. And he passed on, of course. But the temple in Hawaii is beautiful now, and the Shiva Murugan temple is in Concord now. And then there were times when we used to do for the Consul General, there's a couple of us students, with my students, I went there. And the Consul General would call me. I think it was Shri Asif or someone at that time. So he would call me and say he'll sending the car. So a beautiful chauffeur-driven limousine will come to my house and take me to San Francisco. And I've had wonderful times. Gandhi Week celebrations we did at the Asian Art Museum. There's a Helen Desai there who worked very hard at the museum, so I worked on that. At the Children's Discovery Museum in San Jose, which was built later on, I was a constant, every year I would take my students dance there and make sure that people watched. Others, children from other schools would be bussed in and they would watch. And I'll talk about India. Almost felt like I was representing India everywhere, like an envoy of India, and I felt very, very happy. Um, the other part that we did was we would go and perform for the planting of the trees outdoors, indoors, many opportunities. Slowly this whole area in San Francisco became, it's now like a mini India. Everywhere you turn, there are Indian stores, Indian shops, Indian restaurants, and Komala Vilas, Dasa Prakash. You name it, there is everything. Bhima, Tirupati Bhima's is here, so it doesn't feel like I'm in far away from India. India is around me. There's so many Indians here, and so many dance schools, music schools have sprouted since then. Many teachers are engaged in teaching children. God bless them. And the children need this kind of tutelage. And I feel that they're very privileged people who have come here now. They don't miss their home as much because the whole Bay Area is full of musicians and dancers.
What were the challenges that you faced during your when you were composing and choreographing and performing? What were the challenges and difficulties you faced during that period?
The main,
Were there any
the main
challenges or was it a cakewalk? I'm sure you would have had
people who
challenges.
are in India, they're very fortunate because they have access to everything. And today, of course, you at a touch of a button, Google will Google you into any site, and you can actually read, all the information. You can, if you want to refer to something, all the reference material is right there. Just pops up right on the screen to you. It's so easy to talk to someone, FaceTime, Skype, so many other ways to talk to people and say, can you help me with this and all that. The main thing you need as an artist is, how fortunate are people when, Mridangam guy sits right there when you're actually choreographing a jati. You're doing a tirmanam or a korve there, and the mridangam is right sitting next to you, and he gives you ideas. And so I missed that so much. I had to always seek into my head or go into a library or ask someone. I remember my mother is from Anantapur. She's we are Tamilian Ayers, but Amma grew up in Andhra. So she also is a musician, so singer. No, I wouldn't say musician. She was a singer, very well trained. My Perima and Amma, and so she would know all the word meanings. So if I ask her, Yela ni dairadu, anything, you just ask her, okay? Yendaro maha, you just ask her the words or sadinchane, anything, she will be like not only playing in the violin, but she'll say the meaning and she'll say, no, do it again. Even that padam, padari varugudhu. I remember my mother, it's in Kambodi. அந்த பதறி வருகிறது நன்னா பண்ணு நன்னா அழகா பண்ணு அது பதறி வருகு துருகு அம்மா பாடுவா தமிழ்ல பாடி அழகா மீனிங் அழகா பண்ணி இந்த மாதிரி பண்ணணும்னுட்டு காரணம் கேட்டு வாடி இந்த மாதிரிலாம் இந்த அழகா சொல்லி அதுக்கு மீனிங் சொல்லி அதுக்கு அழகா அந்த மாதிரி தெலுங்குலயும் சொல்லுவா. ஸோ ஒரே ஒரு எங்க அம்மா வந்து அண்ணா அதுக்கு போனால்னா if she goes to my brother's house, immediately I'll call her, அம்மா what is the meaning of this, இந்த லைன் வருதே இதுக்கு என்ன என்ன எக்ஸாக்ட் மீனிங் என்ன தெலுங்குலன்னா ரொம்ப அழகா எடுத்து அதை she'll tell me in a very 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 clear way, and that was something that I just enjoyed. My mother is no longer here but I thank her for that. I Yes, I was handicapped because I had to do everything on my own, one man show. But I used to keep constantly seeking people that would help me. and seeking people. That is how I met Dr. Tatachari and Srimati Madhuri Tatachari. Madhuri is a very, very close friend. She was so close to my heart. Then I also met Sri Ashok Subramaniam only because of that. Because I would always seek musicians, always seek people with knowledge, always try to understand, try to listen to what they are saying. That's one quality I have is I don't feel I know everything. I want to learn so much more. May God give me years to learn more. I'm so fortunate to have learned as much as I have, but that is only this much that you have learned. If you need to learn, you have to be always holding that thirst in you, always watching others, being quiet and learning from others, and not feeling that you know everything. And so that's something that I always feel very humbled by so many people who are so good. Love to learn. Even today, I would love to, you know, if your school is dancing, I'll come and learn from you. No, I'm that way. I'm just open to everything. So that makes you, that makes you an artist who's always in a quest and wants to, in a pursuit of perfection. So perfection is never possible by anyone upon this earth, because we cannot be perfect. If we are, then we would be the ultimate. So we are only pursuing perfection, and that's something that I always believe in.
What is the difference that you see in today's kids? You've been teaching for 4 decades, if I'm not wrong. What is the difference that you see from the students of who are learning from you about 20, 25, 30 years ago to students who are learning from you today? What is the difference, the stark difference that you see in both the generations?
In the 40 years ago, students who were here, it's almost like taking a kid who has absolutely no idea of India, Indians, Indian ways, Indian festivals, Indian mythology, nothing. So they are like blank sheets. You're taking them and then you're molding them. It's like taking raw clay that is hardened, in some other belief, and then you have to really punch it and, make it pliable so that you can teach them. So literally, I would teach them. If I'm doing the Panchanade or something like that, I'd sit and work with them. Write three Tishram, four Chatusra. You really have to work it out on paper for them. They have to have a lot of visuals, and they didn't have the ability to watch many people. They didn't have the ability to listen to Carnatic music. I'd always encourage them to listen to music, because music listening is such an important part of our dance culture, that everyone should have some understanding. And then many times I find that people lack language. They just don't speak the language, their own mother tongue at home. Most people, including in our home, my mother-in-law would say, "Oh, no, 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 this is not right." And I'll say, "Amma, please talk to her in Tamil." It's very hard, because even our own country was influenced so much by the British that most people to speak in English. And not only English, they always say, even in India, they always say, like, "Wango, please come in." And "Edana chapadrela, would you like to have some coffee?" They'll keep translating that even in India. So here it becomes like a very natural thing to slide into English. Whether it is British English or American English, English is English. And so they speak. And it's a very beautiful language. It's an international language. It must be taught. But the mother tongue is so important in dance, particularly, and in singing. The diction has to come out right. In singing, the diction has to be very correct, so because a little slight change, variation in diction can change the whole meaning. And similarly in dance too, if you don't understand the words, and if you don't understand the essence behind it, what the writer had thought about it, Like if you read Shakespeare and you read many of the critics who write about Shakespeare, the interpretations may be different. Interpretations definitely can be different, but you must try to understand the source. If you don't understand the language or the music, so that was a very big handicap those days. Today's world, there are so many music schools and so many musicians here, and the culture is much, you can see the richness of the culture here now, because young students are singing so beautifully. It is heartwarming to see that. Even Ashok's daughter, Ananya Ashok, she has made a beautiful name for herself. Um, Having grown up here and imbibing this culture and going into it, it's not that easy, but it has to be done. The effort has to be put in by both parents. That is an important thing, that both parents, everyone is aligned at home, and also placing a trust on a teacher, on a guru. Once you take up that and then you keep flitting from one to the other, that is not good. It's not good for you, not for your growth, not for your understanding. You need to be following the teacher. Even today, it is what Guru Govind Raj Pillai or Mahalingam Pillai told me. Those are the words that ring in my ears, even though I was very little and people may think I'm a fool. But no, those are the only teachers that I have. And despite everything else, they are the ones that I will respect and follow, because I still do the same. அந்த கையை வச்சுக்கிறதுலேருந்து எல்லாமே I will make sure that it is in the Tanjavur tradition. I in fact talked to Kalli sir, Guru Kalyan Sundaram Pillai, just about a couple of weeks ago, and we were both doing Kandane Unne, that Shabdam. கந்தனே உன்னை எந்த நேரமும் சிந்தையில் வைத்து. When I was doing that, he was also doing exactly the same thing, and he learned from his own brother and brother-in-law. He remembered that, and it was very nice to see that.
That is such a wonderful reminiscence. That is what makes the difference. That when you learn from a guru, it'll sit in your mind. Unlike the generation of today, which has got sources, I always say this: Google gives you information, but not knowledge. Knowledge you can acquire only from a guru or somebody, an acharya, whom you can learn and whom you go with this unconditional belief that whatever you give, I would accept and I would dance. Not like, question or no, or because yes, that thought process is later on. But when learning that with full belief in that thing, that is more important. In this after all this so many years, I'm sure you would have had some wonderful moments, some funny incidents, either during performance or organizing festivals or choreography. Can you share a couple of them with our viewers?
Funny things that funny.
Funny and embarrassing. Funny, embarrassing. At that point of time, you would have felt, oh my God, but today you laugh at it.
Moments that were embarrassing. There were so many. Of course, backstage we have God, it's like a rip-roaring time. We have, we go there and we, of course, somebody has not brought her costume and you're going, oh my God, wear this and something else. Oh, no, it doesn't fit me, these kinds of things. And I remember, a couple of my students, it's funny, they went to Ottawa to dance, and they had a full program in Canada, and it was going to be a beautiful, beautiful, full structured program. And Dilip and Shailaja, my students' parents, they land there and then they call me in panic and say, oh my God, we don't have our costume in Ottawa. Where are we going to find? Because our baggage is lost. So their baggage was lost. They never kept it in the hand baggage. So now the program is in the evening and they have landed and they don't have clothes to wear. So I said, do you have any Indian clothes at all? No, we have jeans and top. That's it. And I said, oh my God, go call up, because there's no way we can even send them anything. I said, call up someone, some Indian association there, find out if there's any dancer, anyone at all, and see if you can find some clothes. So they practically, and then they drove about 90 miles or so to some Indian dance teacher who was not a teacher, was a dancer, who was settled there. And she said, I have my old dresses, couple of them. Go try it out. These girls rushed there 90 miles. They drove, they tried the dress on. Fortunately, it was, they could make it up, and they came back and danced it. After they finished their program, the baggage is sitting in their hotel. So these are things that happen always, right? I mean, we went to Barcelona in Spain, and the hotel that they had given us, they had given us nice. It was a decent hotel. And we were all sitting in our rooms, and then we were all like discussing how we are going to do things, and then we go to eat our foods, and there's just nothing but rice. They knew we were from India, so they made lots of rice. But other than that, everything was like meat dishes, and we are vegetarians. And so we were like looking for something. And somebody said, oh, yeah, I have these podis. And she went running and brought some podi. We put the podi, we put butter, and we ate it. Many times, things happen which are difficult. But through all the challenges, through all the humorous moments, we proceed and we perform. When we perform on stage, of course, as you said, someone will come with a wrong costume or a beard or something onto the stage and say, pull it out, and right in front of everybody, you just pull it out and throw it. So that way, I'm pretty cool when something like that happens. And I do have a crew watching out for costumes and all that at the back. I, make sure that everything is done properly, that everyone has her costume ready. Still, when the kids go, they'll do all this. Suddenly, one will go. She would have her pants, but she didn't have time to put on the top. So she was the t-shirt, and but something else, she'll come running into the stage. So when scenes change or something like that. So I'm very particular that they take care to keep.
That is one thing I learned when I started the academy. Those things never happen with us because we have two people standing right there, two dressers who dress, and two people to standing and beside doing this. So all those things that daddy thing that we did was about 25 years ago. So I remember these things should never happen today. So we have a dressman who is ironing and collecting back if they are removing the pallus and changing the pallus. They're collecting it and then doing. Today it's a different case. But then back those days, it used to be like different experience altogether. Sometime once when I was dancing and the entire light came on me, it just fell. I just moved and the light fell. Imagine the kind of, and the audience said, I walked back and I reached the other corner and I saw the light falling and I continued with whatever I was doing. It was a Nritya Natakam, thankfully. So I had to do the Jati first half a piece there. I move, I do Utplavanas and come to this spot, and that light hurt, it falls. So these kind of things we have. And once I got a shock when I was sweating, after dancing on stage, I come back to the mic to do little Natona and I hold the mic and jump and like I got an electric shock to my lips. Imagine, and you're sweating and all your senses are like, they come back to life. So those things happen.
That happens when you go to India. We are not prepared to, we'll go backstage and the technician will come and say, well, if you want more lights, then you have to order it beforehand. Oh, so even the lighting, everything, you have to beforehand, you have to think and you have to pay money for everything and you have to order it, and that's very tough. There was one time when Srimati Anita Ratnam confronted me in the Shukra Jewelers and said, you guys are paying too much for all these people. And so we local artists cannot. I said, see, listen, when they ask us, we pay. We don't know the rate. So why don't you put a rate sheet or something like that? We don't know how much to pay people. Oh, you people pay too much when you come from abroad, and then as a result, all of us local artists suffer, something like that, she said to me. And I said, I'm so sorry. It's not our intent to pay them more. We also would like to be careful, but they take advantage. When we come from abroad, they say, okay, you pay 500 more or 1,000 more. We don't know the difference, right? So we just pay. But someone has to put a rate sheet there. The other thing is also a fallacy to think that, only if you are in India and you're practicing in India, only the Indian artists are the best. Those who are in this country, we artists are also striving. We are striving every second. In fact, because of the want of having, not having enough resources right away, those of us who struggled, we strive a lot. There was one time, I won't name the artist, but the artist said he saw my students' performance, and Dr. Sudharani Raghupati was there. She was praising, everybody was praising. And then he came up and he said, send this person to me if you want. Why? I mean, you sure they can go to whoever they want, but main thing that you have to remember is when the artist is performing, regardless of who the artist is, that words of praise or words of spontaneity do not come very easily sometimes from the artists. And I want to share that in your show, that it's not easy. It's very easy to gain praises, but it's not very easy to give praises to others. It's important to be able to do that, to be able to see how others are doing, how wonderful it is. This art form is not just one man's show or one man's territory. This art form, uh, Sage Bharata gave it to the world. And there is not one style. Your school danced the other day, and I just remarked about the Alaripu. I said, Alaripu is supposed to be a simple item or whatever. But I don't mean to really poke at anything. What a beautiful show those children did. In fact, I told my students, look at the way the anga shuddhi should be beautiful. Every moment you have to strive to keep your hands right, arms right. And it's not like one day you just do something and go with your creased beautiful dance dress, go perform and come back and say, oh, that's great. Important for you to strive, and you need to appreciate others. I loved it.
And that too, that brings in a lot of energy. See, even the bad dancing or good dancing, moderate dancing, any dancing has the same energy. I tell my students this. I keep saying, students, it's not just um, um, you're dancing. It might be good, it might be bad, it might be superficial, but for that same thing, if you put little bit more energy, you can make it wonderful. So why don't you add up that energy? Andamari slowly, you need to cajole them and bring out the best in them. So I never want to pull down saying that, oh no, you're very mediocre or very bad or something. I would, even with our students, I'm sure you also do it with your students. It's good, but it is always better if you strive towards excellence. This will look nice, kind of. That is the difference between today. Because when we started, it was like when we were young, the kind of tutoring that went on or talking was different. The teachers used to be harsh. You just do it. Today we cannot say that. Today we will say yes, it was good. But then if you struggle a bit more, then it will be nice. So what is the change that you think that you adopted in your teaching techniques in comparison to what you were taught?
um at every point I stop myself and say, am I teaching the correct methodology? Am I, because teaching someone is a huge responsibility. It is not like, we are the be all and end all of everything. There are so many ways that one can imagine anything. So the difference that I see is that I'm a little more experimental, and I do experiment with a few more things. I also have a way that I have structured the Padavarnams. The way I teach is different. The olden times when they would teach one, let's say they taught you Ananda Bhairavi Padavarnam, Sakhiya in the Veli, they would teach you in a proper sequential way, whereas what I would do is I'd literally like take the pallavi, the anupallavi, the charanam, the muktai, sahityam, everything, take the sahityams and work on that, really work on the sancharis and all that. I separate the tirmanams and korves and all, just make the jatis as a separate thing, and then I put this whole composite together and teach them how this structure comes and why lyrics are so important in classical dance. So I have a methodology that I've adapted by myself. It is developed by myself, and according to that, I teach each child, and each child I give them, like we didn't have to be told the story of Prahlada, Hiranyakashipu, or anything like that. Because most often we read these or we are told by our grandmother the story of Hiranyakashipu, Devna, half man, half blind. He told all this we are told, but or we watch it in a drama or something like that, and we are exposed to all these. These children are not. So you literally have to sit down and tell them in their language. And you imagine telling them tore and then or drank the blood and things like that. When you say it, you have to be very careful what you tell the children, because you don't want to say it in such a way that they think of it as a violent something. Because enough violence they see in cinema, that's enough violence. They need to see less of that. They need to see the tattvam behind it. What is the reason? It is the quelling of evil forces and the upkeep of the good and the righteous. And so that is something that you try to teach them in a very, very polished, beautiful way. Sancharis also, I try to tell them, you don't have to be so gross about the Sancharis. I don't like, for example, ogling when Gopika Vastrabharanam, Krishna is taking the cloak, and then ogling at the women, that is not the way to do it. Um, Looking at, I see him as child Krishna. And similarly, when you're doing, you know, they're doing the Hiranyakashipu story, you do that and then you pull your tongue out like that, I don't like that. I'm personally, it's my personal preference not to do that, but to do it in a very beautiful, polished manner so that I teach the children. Hope I answered that properly. What you wanted to hear.
Yes, yes, certainly. Because the methodology that you were taught to the thing that you decipher to students that varies, and over the course of the time that you would have observed and learned and imbibed, so many things get into this. What is it that your advice for youngsters of today who would want to pursue this art form abroad? And what is it that you tell them? Even otherwise, to learn or even to take it up as a profession, would you uh, ask your students to take it up as a profession, or is it like no, no, you have it parallelly with something? How? What is your take on that? And simultaneously, we had this question from Guru Prasad ji, where he asked, "What's your opinion about Arangetram? Is it like, is it necessary?" That is what he meant.
Guru Prasad ji, I'll answer that first, and then I'll come to your question. Arangetrams are, there are ways of looking at Arangetrams. Many people think that Arangetrams should be done when at the ultimate stage, when you're finished learning everything there is to know, or you've matured to an age where you can do Shringara Rasa, you can do any of the Rasanu, all the Rasabhinaya easily. You should not do it at the age of 8 and 9 and 10. You should not do it. You should do it later. Um, my idea of Arangetram is not that. I teach Nrittam with clarity, and I go over Nritta very, very well, go in depth into Nritta, and make sure that even the littlest child learns. One of the things that I do in my school is that students are allowed to come to their class, which is called their own home class, and then also the classes below that. They are also allowed at times to watch the senior class. So, where did I come from? Where am I? And where am I going? What is so? Give a clarity on that. The second thing is, it's very important for them to spend at least 3 hours with me. I am the teacher. Whatever their hurry, weekends I devote to them. So I want them to really like seep themselves into that and also be able to volunteer at any time to teach a younger student. If it is an adavu, சிம்பிள் டான்ஸ் யூனிட் ஒரு நாட்டடவு இருக்குது. அந்த நாட்டடவு இப்படி பண்ணணும், இந்த மாதிரி கையை அழகாக வச்சுக்கணும், எப்படி எவ்வளவு டிஃப்ளெக்ஷன் இருக்கணும், ஹவு மச் ஷுட் யூ பெண்ட், should you overbend, should you overstress, nothing like that. How well should you do the aramandi? So I ask them to demonstrate and also teach the younger ones, and that helps them. So this way the students are picking up their nritta. When it comes to nritya, I work with them very slowly on the facial muscles, not only the face, the eyes, the griva bheda, all the bhedas, the hands, gestures, how to use them, and how to really bring out the emotions through those gestures, making that oneness be felt, and so that the emotions are coming from deep within you, not you're not just like just doing it because the teacher said so. You have got to really think of what you're doing, understand the language. So I do that. And then when they come to drama, I teach them by putting lines and geometry and things like that, and I work with them on character portrayal and all. After having done that, if they are only 8 years old, fine, go do your Arangetram, and your journey begins at the stage of Arangetram. It does not end. If it is like 17-year-old doing Arangetram, she's gone to college, and then she's gone to her career, and then she's gone to her marriage, and then she's gone to her children. She's lost. She may have the thirst, but she has no real, ability time wise or body wise to perform. So I think my advice to them would be, to have Arangetrams early. We had Arangetrams early. All of us, even the great Travancore sisters, Padmini, Ragini, and all that, they learned under Guru Mahalingam Pillai. They had Arangetram very, very early. I had Arangetram very early. But that doesn't mean anything, because Arangetram, again, I say, is the beginning of your journey. That's when do I like this? Do I want to perform more? Arangetram is one atram of Arangam. After that, do I want to ascend more? Or do I want to help others ascend more? But again, teaching. Teaching is not that easy. Teaching is a very, very, very tough thing. Teaching is a huge sacrifice, huge responsibility. In teaching, you're taking young minds and molding them. And what if I said something that isn't right, that isn't the correct way? So I must always think it's not with limited knowledge I go into teaching, but if I have, no one has got the complete knowledge at any time. Every one of us is learning through our students. That is the fact. The guru is not guru without a shishya. The shishya is learning from the guru, but the guru is also learning from the shishya. Each shishya is a tool to learn more. So if they don't understand something, they ask you a question, you go and say, okay, let me find out. what is it, what is it, how is it best I can help you. Okay, so you've got to take your time, and you also have to show your vulnerability. It's not like you are sitting there, monarch of all I see, and sitting there and saying, you do this, you do that, you do this, you do that. Any moment a change can occur. And going back to your question, Bhushan, about what I was taught, Tanjavur masters, they are very particular about even a Tillana having that exact, the மெய்யடவு அந்த ஒரே கோடு அதே மாதிரி தான் இருக்கணும்னு. But I have done some experimentations, innovations. I'm sure I've made a lot of mistakes too. I admit, because no teacher learns without mistakes. And so it's all a journey where we can pick up from any time at any in anything. As far as teaching, to the future people who are teaching, I would say take a moment and take a few moments, take a few years, imbibe this art form, learn about it, read the Natya Shastra, read the Abhinay Darpana. Try to get as much information as possible before you just begin a school like that. School, I have had students who learned from the beginning, scratch. And then there was some kind of a guru honoring ceremony at the temple here, local temple. And so they called me, because I've been teaching for a long time. And then I found that my own student was also a guru there, So you can't. In fact, I don't like the word guru. Guru is, very, very venerable. It's someone who I should look up to. I'm just an acharya. I'm just a teacher, and I would like to hold myself as a teacher. Somebody said Guru Vishal Ramani and became Guru, Guru, Guru. First of all, my name is Vishalam, Vishal Akshi or Vishalam, and it became Vishal. My father used to call me SV because I'm Srinivasan Vishal. And somehow, names get like this.
I was curious to know that. I was wondering how did this name
Yeah.
got shortened. I was actually thinking, now you gave me an insight into your name. It cannot be Vishal, it has to be Vishalakshi or Vishalu or something like that. I was coming at that.
Sir says Vishali. So, Vishali, Vishala, somebody called me Mr. Vishal. Can you tell me? Because the North Indians have Vishal, Kunal, all these names as boys' names, right? So, yeah, it's just Vishalam is how I was called, right? At home. So it became Vishal Ramani. Somehow, the Ramani itself is Venkat Ramani. It became Vishalam Venkat Ramani, Vishal Ramani. So everything changes into some short form. Luckily, I don't call, like Suraj name is Suraj. They say like Suraj. Luckily that didn't happen. It's easier to say Vishal. Okay, say whatever you want. Even when my students call me, I say, you call me anything. You call me Amma, Appa, Party, whatever you want to call me, call me. So auntie, you say auntie. I'm a party. I'm a grandmother of four. So call me Party if you want. Or Vishalji if you want. Whatever you want to call me.
Now, as many years ago, you had your Arangetram. So
I'm going to plug in this 1 minute.
Okay, ladies and gentlemen, you're watching this conversation with this amazing Acharya, Srimati Vishalakshi Venkatramani, I should say. So, Guru Prasad ji says nice information about Arangetram. Thanks, ma'am and Solra. Oh, thank you, Guru Prasad avare. Nodta iddira. Summa santosha aitu. Any questions, please do bring on, because we have this wonderful, amazing artist, an Acharya who has seen it for 4 long decades in the US. So this is something very different and nice, and the experience that she had all through these years is what you get to hear. Because each time there's an artist coming over to our stream and sharing their journey, it is always like so many experiences that are so valuable to the youngsters, not just youngsters, probably who look up to her there, or people who are curious to know what is happening. As I tell you, every day there is an artist who is coming here and sharing their sharing a celebrity artist or a performer's journey, so that you get a sneak peek into what would have transpired in their lives, and how difficult or how easy it would have been for them to lead their lives and go on and so on. So for now, I would request Vishal ji to probably perform the amazing part to of today that we have come here, so that I can request Auntie, come on, let us have your arangetram now for the digital audience. Your digital arangetram and solrena.
For me? Okay.
Digital arangetram. You don't remember your arangetram, I'll make people remember, and you also remember your arangetram. So what will you perform for your arangetram now?
Whatever you want me to, you just
What? Okay.
you can sing.
Most people probably. What is your favorite on Krishna, Rama? Who is your favorite?
I shouldn't say Krishna or Rama, because Krishna and Rama are the same. They are both Hari.
No, I know Haris, but then you have your
Go
favorites.
ahead and do Krishna. I'll do Krishna.
Krishna. Okay, we'll do Krishna ni begane baro. Will that be fine? Krishna Baru 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 Krishna Gane Baru Krishna Begane Baru 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 Krishna Begane Baru Krishna Begane Baru Begane Baru Bukavane Toro Begane Baru Bukavane Toro Begane Baru Bukavane Toro Begane Baru Mukhavane Toro Krishna Begane Baru Taige Jagavanne Toride Taige Jagavanne Toride Taige Taige ಜಗವನ್ನೇ ತೋರಿದ ತಾಯಿಗೆ ಬಾಯಲ್ಲಿ ಜಗವನ್ನೇ ತೋರಿದ ತಾಯಿಗೆ ಬಾಯಲ್ಲಿ ಜಗವನ್ನೇ ತೋರಿದ ಜಗದು ಧಾರಕ ನಮ್ಮ ಉಡುಪಿ ಶ್ರೀಕೃಷ್ಣ ಜಗದೋದ್ಧಾರಕ ನಮ್ಮ ಉಡುಪಿ ಶ್ರೀಕೃಷ್ಣ ಕೃಷ್ಣ ಬೇಗನೆ ಬಾರೋ 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 ಕೃಷ್ಣ ಬೇಗನೆ ಬಾರೋ ಕೃಷ್ಣ ಬೇಗನೆ ಬಾರೋ 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 Thank you. Wonderful. It was beautiful, and I hope our audience is also liked as much as I sang.
I'm just sitting doing it here, not sure if everyone can see.
Very much, very much, very much. All of them can see because we put you on a solo frame also, so everybody could see what you do. It was, as I told you, each artist has their own way of expressing, and you were fabulous as you presented this. And this is one piece that every dancer would dream of performing. You know, Krishnani Begane Baro or Chinna Chirikile, or probably Baro Krishnaya. There are some pieces which are close, Jagadodharana. These are all pieces which are very favorite of dancers, and it is absolutely delight to sing and dance.
They would say, "Do Taye Yashoda, Nadana Madina."
Yes, Nadana Madina. Yes.
Even the Yadukula Kambudi, Kali Tuki, all these. Then Adum Soluval.
Actually, அதுதான் சில பேர் தேட்டீஸ் டான்சர்ஸ்க்கு வந்து ரெண்டு சொல்லக்கூடாதுன்னு. ஒன்னு செலங்கை சொல்லக்கூடாது, இன்னொன்னு சிவா அந்த காலை தூக்கின்னு சொல்லிட்டா they will dance only on Krishna, and we have to have butter, gungrus, dhamaru and trishulam or left தாண்டவனிடம் ஒரு இவ்வளவுதான் பிடிச்சு you will dance. நிறைய பேரு kindle பண்றாங்க. So that's because that gives you so much of involvement. The moment you hear the song, you would feel so nice. And I presented this for Natha Nirajanam at Tirupati, which was streamed to 150 countries. And the experience I had, though I have performed this Krishnani Begane Baro many times, performing for an audience in Tirupati in front of the Lord was so different. And I could make out the difference myself, though I am involved most times, but then the atmosphere adds up to that, the ambience adds up to that. So that is absolute joy and pleasure, I always say. So with what was your schedule in pandemic all these days, all these 6, 7, 8 months?
I think I'm probably the one artist who didn't miss a heartbeat. Before the pandemic struck, I made sure that I cleared up the studio we had and came here back to my home and made my studio, my library, my studio. And fortunately, I had a couple of people who, really tech savvy people who came and install the large screen TV and put all the, Zoom in place and everything. So not even one day of class I missed. I made sure. So another policy I have in my school is that the 365 and a quarter days I run the school. I do not stop it because I am not here. If I, of course, I cannot be here, 24/7, but my students know exactly what I'm doing. My students, many of them have stuck around with me for more than 20 years, and so many of them know me very well, and they will take on. The moment I say, if I have a headache, hope God forbid, if I'm not well, or if I have to go out somewhere, if I have some function, if I have to go and present something somewhere, or do a workshop, anything like that, students take over. But the classes run like, they have to be like absolutely like clockwork. It has to run. The clock, the hands don't stop. Vishal doesn't stop until. I'm kind of tough on myself, but I do it. I'm a disciplinarian, yes, but I do it.
Wonderful. What are the things that you plan post pandemic?
What are the things I've planned for? I'm doing some board classes for the students. I've also been doing a lot of theory classes for the students so that they attend it. I've given them a lot of opportunities to learn margams, and the arangetrams are still being conducted. There are two or three more coming up. Some are streamed, some are not. Um, some parents feel that they want to do it in a big way next year, hoping that with now the current president-elect Biden's regime, and Kamala Harris for the first time a woman, and that too we can take pride in saying she's an Indian too. We hope to have the pandemic under control. I somehow feel that they are the ones who come to upkeep the good. So they are probably Hari is another form in the Kali Yuga. So hopefully this Kalki Avatara will will help us in the pandemic, and we can do our arangetrams and programs better. But in the USA, last few months, pandemic has gone out of control. We're all covered, just like you guys, with masks and everything. We are very responsible about it because we don't want to spread anything, even if we have it, or get anything from anyone else who's spreading it. We want to be absolutely 100% clear on that, that people have to be extra cautious. So I don't allow my students here. They all watch me on Zoom. I watch them through the different grids, and I make corrections, and I go extra mile trying to help them. That's all I can do.
It was wonderful. That's a pretty good insight. And to be busy is always the mantra of any dance, because most dancers have, other professions. I always feel this. Other professions, they retire. But with our dancers and musicians have no retirement, because we progress further as we grow older, because that we are more in, we get more job as we grow. So this is one profession which is like, which will keep you on your toes throughout your life. So this is like or is purva janma sukritam to be, even born to learn or even understand and all, I feel. So it was wonderful talking to you all these while, and such a nice insight into your uh, beautiful life that you went through. And hopefully I feel, this pandemic ends soon and we get to dance on our in the auditorium soon.
I'll
And
come to Mysore for sure. Mysore.
please be my guest. Please come over, and we will also, when we there, we would definitely pay you a visit, and we'll work out something nice and beautiful in this.
Definitely.
Yes,
Bhushan, you're doing a wonderful job. I want to thank you for this. And I know that I know you for a while, but I have not really known you until you came to my pod class. And I'm so happy that the students got to see your students, and it's wonderful exchange. So grateful to you for bringing me here. It's a privilege to be on your show, and I wish you all the best of luck. You've been doing a wonderful. I watched a few interviews of yours, and I will continue to watch.
So sweet. Thank you, Auntie. Thank you for gracing this platform, and I'm happy that you could come
Thank
over
you.
and
Thank you so
thank
much.
you. Thanks a lot. Ladies and gentlemen, that was Vishal Ramani ji in conversation with me all this while. And I hope you enjoyed this show of today. Tomorrow, to join at 6:30, we have this amazing artist, Uma Murali ji joining us tomorrow. ಸ್ನೇಹಿತರೆ ನಾಳೆ ನಮ್ಮೊಂದಿಗೆ ಭರತನಾಟ್ಯ ಕಲಾವಿದ ಚೆನ್ನೈನ ಉಮಾ ಮುರಳಿ ಅವರು ಇರ್ತಾರೆ. ಅವರೊಂದಿಗಿನ ಸಂವಾದ, ಅವರೊಂದಿಗಿನ ಮಾತುಕತೆಯಲ್ಲಿ ನಾವು ಭಾಗಿಯಾಗೋಣ ಅಂತ ಹೇಳ್ತಾ ಈ ದಿನದ ಈ ಸ್ಟ್ರೀಮ್ ನ ಇಲ್ಲಿಗೆ ಮುಗಿಸ್ತೀನಿ. ಸ್ಟೇ ಇಂಡೋರ್, ಸ್ಟೇ ಸೇಫ್, ಫೈಟ್ ಕರೋನಾ, ಬಟ್ ಕೀಪ್ ವಾಚಿಂಗ್ ವಿಶ್ವ ನೃತ್ಯ ಗಾನ ಭೂಷಣ. ಶುಭರಾತ್ರಿ, ಸ್ಟೇ ಸೇಫ್, ಬಾಯ್.